What's up, everybody? Just out in the woods here. It's pretty nice out today. It's got a blue sky and all that. It's about 35 degrees outside. Had a snowstorm, I think, like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. There's about some spots it's about 1.5 feet. Some spots about 2 feet of snow. So good snowfall. Unfortunately, I couldn't go hang out at the lake because my entry point and where my chair's at, I mean, that's like 2.5, 3 foot snow drifts just to get down to the spot I like to hang out at, and I'm not doing that. Just hanging out in the middle of the woods here with some ciders, getting a little buzz on. Nothing better than sitting out in the woods and drinking some booze. Not exactly the most prepared here. I got the very thin khaki pants on. Boots are fine, but somehow my pants got wet right here. I don't know what happened there. And these are cotton, so that's just it's just a thing for me that I just don't like happening. Is cotton is the enemy of winter, and I've already talked about it, so I'm not gonna go off on it. But yeah, just sitting down here with in front of these birch trees, these lone birch trees, just kind of right next to each other, like a giant pillars of Yakin and Boaz or some kind of portal or some shit. They stand out because there's not really any birch trees around here. There's one way over there. Just a fun fact about birch trees is that they propagate via underground. All of these birch trees are one giant birch tree. Like, there's no singular birch trees. They propagate underground and they spread out and sprout from underground, and yeah, it's very interesting. If you see a whole bunch of birch trees, that they're all just one giant birch tree. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I just got a couple things or a few things I wanted to talk about. Booze is kind of settling in here. This is where I was sitting down right here. Ass is a little wet. It's all right. Love being the only person that's walked out in the snow and fresh. Well, this isn't fresh. But no one comes out here. So the only tracks that are out here are from animals. And I was following some crazy looking tracks. I don't know if I'm gonna walk. It was coming in, and the tracks, like, they were huge tracks, but I figured out because they weren't humans, because the gate between each of them, each step, was like 5 feet between each step, something like that. And in order for a human to do that, they would have to be like fucking 10 feet tall. So I kind of just, as I followed the tracks, it turned out it was a deer, because it must have been galloping or something like that, because eventually the tracks devolved into just regular deer tracks. So anyways, some crazy shit, huh? Crazy shit going on. Actually, I'm gonna sit down and hang out. I don't feel like walking out there right now. Oh. The Epstein files. Let me tell you, it's been a really good past, what is today, Wednesday? Been a really good past, 5 days since those Epstein files have come out, and just feeling very vindicated, very relieved. Lots of weight off my chest and off my shoulders. I've been talking about this stuff for decades, and I've been ridiculed and cast aside and ignored and all that shit for so many reasons. And it's just nice knowing that this shit coming out. I mean, these people, they fucking torture, rape, kill, little children eat cannibals. They eat them. They fucking do the worst shit, grooming them. One of my favorite things that has come out so far is his, Epstein's involvement with transgender, pushing transgenderism on children and trying to get them to, as young as 3 years old. This was emails between a Harvard professor and Epstein, as young as 3 years old, and this is only a drop in the bucket. This is just a pin drop in the haystack. This is just the slightest little bit of information. And, the transgenderism shit, the grooming shit, right? Because, I've mentioned in my videos many times about my experience working as a social worker with teenage girls from 12 to 18 and the shit that they go through on top of the co-workers that I've dealt with that were just straight up blue. Legit, they were all of them, like out of 10 people, all of them, except for maybe 2 of them, were blue-haired, woke, they-thems, and pansexuals and shit. I literally, I mean that literally, blue hair. Like, it was, I brought it up many times. I'm like, why do you have blue hair? Like, what the and not only that, but it's disgusting, because when they dye their hair blue, what happens is they have to bleach their hair and then dye it. But the blue hair dye only lasts for like a week or some shit, and then eventually devolves into like a vomit green color. So it's like, what the fuck? It's, and I had my repeated turmoil with them and how they were grooming the girls I was working with. And I feel amazing, like there's so much weight just being lifted off of me. It makes me very happy, but also I'm very sad at the same time. I don't know what else to say about that. It's hard to talk about, because I really, I've mentioned it many times before. I really love those girls. I really cared for them. I was like a surrogate father to those girls, and being basically forced out of that job, was hard to deal with, because a handful of them came up to me when I was leaving saying that, could you adopt us or stay as a mentor and shit like that? And, because of, my life situation, I can't afford to adopt a bunch of teen girls. And I also, because of because of laws and shit like that, you can't leave a job like that and then go on to be a mentor. There's just laws that go against that. So, but anyways, and that's my little microcosm of that type of stuff. That's my own little thing. And on the macrocosm, you have all this other crazy shit that's happened, and just the world in general, and how it's been manipulated and, distorted through all these agendas. It's just amazing. And so there's so many things to talk about with the Epstein file stuff. You got Bill Gates is, is there, do I even need to talk about this? I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. If you're actually watching my videos, and no one watches my videos, so I guess it really doesn't matter in the end. It's just how it, I don't know how to, it doesn't really matter, right? These are my fucking videos. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm not catering to anybody. So, one thing I want to talk about, so, and this deals with the Epstein files. This deals with all this Satanism, okay? I'm going to get into Satanism and what people how it's viewed and all that type of stuff, and my decades of being into occultism and all these things. And then being a full-blown Christian and all that shit. So Satanism, this Luciferianism, Satanism, whatever you want to call it, it comes down to what is good and bad, what is good and evil, bad or evil. They're pretty much like you can intertwine those two as much as you want, but what's good and bad, right? And a lot of this stems from our culture is based off of the Bible. As much as we don't want to think it is, but it is. The culture, the structure, the society is based off of Christian values. Do unto others, and good and bad. Don't lie, don't do this, right? And in the very beginning, it deals with the Adam and Eve eating the apple from the tree of knowing good and bad, knowing good and evil, whatever it is, whatever word you want to use. It's the same thing. And I've mentioned these things before a little bit, mostly when I talk about love being a complete fabrication. It does not exist. It's just a figment of the human imagination. Justice is another one of those. Justice does not exist. Justice itself is a figment of the human imagination itself as well. But the thing is, so is good and evil. Good and evil does not exist. The Bible itself is fundamentally wrong. I used to believe in it 100%, literally 100%. Even that Romans 13. The government, obey the authorities. The authorities are appointed by God. Even though I hated it, still believed in it, right? So, when it comes to good and evil, it does not exist, because these things are subjective. And what happens is, like love or justice and all this shit, when people start to objectify the things that are subjective, there's going to be strife and conflict. Excuse me. Among populations. And good and evil, they do not exist, okay? Objectively, they do not exist, because with the things that the Epstein people do, okay, all the politicians, celebrities, bankers, fucking whatever it is, musicians and all this shit, what they consider to be good are things that I would consider to be bad, right? And in essence, that's what Satanism is. Satanism is inversionism. It's antinomianism. It's what inverts the things that are considered normal. Okay? And just to get to, real quick, so if good and evil doesn't exist, then what does? Okay? And it doesn't have to be the fact that it's wholly, there is no good and evil. It's how it's explained. It's sorcery. It's language sorcery, and I've mentioned this a million times. The correct way of doing it is saying what is right and wrong. Okay, because that exists. Okay, that actually exists. Being correct and being wrong, being true or false, exists. That is a tree. These are trees. All these are trees. Correct or false? Right or wrong? That's correct, right? This is snow. Yes? This is snow. Correct. Raping and murdering and torturing little children is correct or wrong? True or false? Right? There's your answer. You cannot distort or twist that. Because if you tell that to a Satanist, they'll tell you, oh, that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I see it as a good thing, right? Because it's, it's just subjective. When I say it's a wrong thing. But objectively speaking, okay, objective being the key word here, it's wrong. It's false. Okay, see where I'm getting at? Good and evil, the whole Bible is a false, fake, witchcraft, sorcery document. It is all fake. All of it is fake. From the Adam and Eve, oh, don't eat of the tree of knowing good and evil. Right? What does that mean? Who's dictating the good and the bad, right? Supposedly it's God, right? Supposedly it's God. But where is God? Where's his answers, right? He doesn't answer everything. He just gives you the 10 Commandments, which is fucking bullshit to begin with. The Sabbath day and all this shit. Give me a fucking break. Thou shalt not, if you lie, right? Everyone lies. If you don't know any truth, then guess what? You're gonna fuck it. All you know are lies, right? And that's why the real way to look at these things is to understand that good and bad does not exist. That the powers that be, they know that the Bible's fake. That's why they are Satanists. They have this paradigm, this system of control and manipulation where they have people, the common people, to believe in what is good and bad, right? And then they have their little sect of people that do the opposite, right? Behind closed doors, behind policies and all this shit. I mean, just look at the world itself. It's like, you think this is how things should be. But the common people, they will police it. They'll police what they think is good and bad. And they use these blackmail techniques to make this club of theirs, to keep their power and control over themselves and everyone else. They use it. They don't believe in it, but they use it as a system, as a tool to manipulate and control. Simple as that. The whole structure of what is good and bad, law and order, is all bullshit. And they use it to control. Very simple, very simple. Maybe I'm not explaining it the best way I possibly can. Maybe the sighters have gotten to me a little bit. But that's the way it is. It's just sorcery. What all people need to view things as is not this fake fucking word magic sorcery of good and evil. Everything is it's a battle against good and evil. That's not how it's supposed to work. It's a battle between what is correct and what is wrong, what is true and what is false. Because that's objective. Okay? Taxing people a third of their income. Correct or wrong? Right? Especially when you're funding a bunch of fucking pedophile rapists and murderers and fucking cannibals, right? Objectively, that's wrong. Grooming teenage girls, or even younger, to think that they're the opposite physical sex than they are is wrong, right? Because what these fucking dipshit, Satanist, woke, lib people want you to believe is that there's hundreds of different genders and all this shit, but it doesn't exist in reality, right? So I hope my point is getting across here. Like, it really, it's, sometimes things are too simple to really get across. Like, there's only so much I can talk about, right? On things so simple. Fucking hey, walking through this deep ass snow. Holy shit. I mean, my feet are fucking, let's see, that's almost to my knees right there. Deep ass snow, man. Holy shit. I ain't got my snowshoes. I got fucking giant boots on. Okay, that's, oh. But that's the system we're living in. And people want you to keep believing that, you know, oh yeah, Jesus and fucking the New Testament and all this shit. It's all right. All that's correct, you know, but there's no fucking factual evidence behind it. And it's obviously false, because if you try to put it to the test, if you hold it up to scrutiny and you try to use the book for what it says it's going to do, if you do what it says it does and the book doesn't do what it says it's going to do, then it's obviously false. It's basic scientific, you know, fact. You can't, if you do one thing, it should be working, right? If everything you've done should produce some type of evidence, and that evidence doesn't happen, well, then it's false. And then you have all this shit about the Jews and their Talmud and their Old Testament prophecies, and, you know, they need to bring about, you know, the whole world needs to go against Israel, right? Because, I mean, obviously Epstein is a Jew, Ghislaine Maxwell is a Jew, the Mossad agents, they work for Israel, the whole blackmail scheme and all this shit, and it's coming out, you know, because if they really didn't want these things to come out, they wouldn't. They just wouldn't let these things out. But they're obviously out. Cat's out of the bag, right? So, Israel needs to be the enemy per their prophecies, per their holy scriptures. They need to be the enemy of the world. The world needs to go against them. And we see that happening. We see that happening now. People are slowly, you know, people are fucking stupid, you know, but they're slowly gonna start to turn against Israel and the Jews and stuff like that, right? And it's just playing into their fucking schemes. It's just, you know, first of all, there's no accountability. Like I said, justice does not exist. These people are not really going to be getting into any type of trouble at all. And, you know, even if we think that they're going to be arrested or executed or some shit, right? They're not really. It's just going to be AI or some fucking deep fake bullshit. It's not going to be real. They're going to, just like Epstein. Epstein didn't fucking kill himself. He's very likely still alive, just living his best life off in some other part of the world. Who the fuck knows? And what's going to happen is the world's going to go against Israel and, you know, call them out and all this shit. Probably going to be like China and all these other countries that aren't overtly controlled. They are controlled by the powers that be, but aren't overtly controlled by the Jews. They'll be fucking taking over the game show and all that type of shit. And, you know, it's just going to be working towards these things. And Well, it's either that, right, or things just continue the way they're going in the surveillance state, digital ID, or both can happen. Continue. It's either one way or the other. It's either things keep going the way they're going and nothing happens, right? Just like the meme, nothing ever happens. I'm kind of in that boat. Nothing ever happens. That's been me for decades. Nothing ever happens. Epstein files get released. Where's the arrests? Where's any accountability? And that goes on for all these things, for the housing crash, stock market crashes, fucking COVID, you name it, nothing ever happens. All these fucking massive travesties happen, no accountability. There's only, at most, some like fall guy. And the fall guy is, he doesn't really, like, you think Ghislaine Maxwell is really in prison? You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck no. First of all, those videos of her in prison getting interviewed, that's not her. That doesn't look anything like her. Same thing with Epstein when he was, dead, and they showed like his pictures when he was dead. Doesn't look anything like him. So it's all a game show. At the end of the day, like I said, the Bible, all this shit about good and evil. Oh, we're fighting a good fight. We're fighting a good fight. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. We're playing by their game. We're in their game. We're in their world. This is not our world. This is whatever controls is behind the Jews, behind the powers that be, all that shit. Whatever sick game show that this existence is, that's what we're in. And there's nothing that we can do but to just live our lives day to day, over and over again. And unfortunately, like I mentioned in my last video, materialism, even though I know, right, even though I know there's more to than what I can touch and feel, things beyond the veil, right, dimensionally, but the thing is, that's still material. That's still material. It may not be able to be perceived by us through our eyes and ears, by our fingers. We may not be able to perceive it, but it's still material. It's still a thing that is real, right? This factor of there's a spirit that moves on past this into some immaterial realm that doesn't exist. How are you gonna exist with no material? Right? How are you gonna exist with no material? How are you gonna talk? How are you gonna think? How are you gonna be you with no form of any shape at all? Doesn't exist. And the only way to live a content life is through materialism, through the game of getting money, getting bitches, having kids. That's it. That is it. Simple. It's been like that for as much as recorded history that is supposedly real. That is it. This whole fucking... And let me tell you, like, you can go back into my video history. I used to be coming up with all these fucking random ass theories of all this weird occult shit and fucking whatever. I don't even remember anymore. I don't give a fuck about that shit because it's all fake. And you listen to all these other people talking about it. Oh, they do this and they talk about this and all this shit. At the end of the day, though, it's either real or not. And if it is real, it's got to be based on material. It has to have, if the sun and moon and stars affect us, okay, let's talk about like astrology and stuff like that. It has to be based on some type of actual reality. It has to be some realness to it. It has to be a tangible thing. It can't be some bullshit, fake, invisible. Well, invisible. It, and this is the issue. Is like it's a. We can't perceive it, right? Like we can't perceive it as people. But it still has to be material. It still has to be a real thing. Electromagnetism, all that type of shit. So if the sun and moon and stars, and I don't think they affect us really. Like all this shit is a bunch of bullshit. And I mean that as in like the astrology senses. You know, I don't even know why I'm talking about it. It's bullshit. It doesn't fucking affect us at all. All these things are bullshit. So I'm not even going to try to make some analogy out of it, to be honest. I scratch that off the record. But you listen to all these people over the years and all their fucking, conjecturing and philosophizing and this or that. It's at the end of the day, it's coping. It's coping. Just like when I was, became a Christian, just like when I was into Hermeticism, occultism, any of these like, Hinduism, Buddhism, and all these other things, it's just coping. It's all coping with the reality that this is it. What we see, what we're here for, this is all we know. This is it. This is reality. This is all we know. This is me. This is me. I was born of my two parents. I had my life. I had my childhood. I dealt with my shitty parents. I dealt with my shitty family. And this is who I am. Okay? And here's the thing, right? Even with my life and my circumstances, I am to the rest of all people that have ever existed, I'm basically a 1%er. Even in this current age where people are, you're like 80% chance that you're going to be born in India or Africa, right? You want to be born there? You want to be born in some fucking shithole full of feces and trash and garbage and bull? I mean, just think of it, right? Like, this is 99.9999% of everyone that has existed lives a shitty, stupid, miserable life. These people are stupid. They haven't been able to think. They were never taught. They never had the ability to think and examine and reflect on what their society is like and how it should be. Or how it could be, right? They're just trying to survive. It's just a fight for survival. And the amount of people that can even make it past the age of 10, right? This is a fucked up place. And all these people that are always trying to cope with the way things are, trying to put new spins and twists and turns on, astrology and religion and philosophy and all this shit, when it's all just a crock. In itself, the foundations of all those other things are on saying they're fucking bullshit. They're not real. Just to try to further kick the can down the road, it's all bullshit. It's all fake. And the people, the powers that be, and whatever it is that's behind them, that designed this place, that designed people, that made everything the way it is, are all wrong. They're all a bunch of sick, twisted fucks. And the way it is that, when I talk about parasites, just that entire class of organism, whether it's a parasitical insect, bacteria, mold, fungus, yeast, bat, right? These parasitical creatures, okay? Well, maybe it's not wrong, I should say, but it's twisted. And when it comes down to it, it's just a game. It's a TV show. It's a work of fiction. Everything that we see now, the structures of our governments, religions, philosophies, it's all just fake television. It's a TV show. It's a production. It's a program. And what happens at the end of it? You die. That's it. You die. And if you're a Christian, right, you think that there's going to be some kind of white throne of judgment with God and then Jesus at his right hand, and they're going to be like, oh, you believed in me, you're fucking saved, and you're going to be you forever. You're going to be you for eternity amongst the angels and your family and all these other people that claim that they were Christians. I can't even, it's so fucking stupid thinking that I'm not even gonna get into it. So, anyways, rant over. But like I said, what's there to do, right? What's there to do? It's really about that legacy, about getting money, getting material wealth, whether it's real estate, whatever the game is that's being played. It's about that. It's about getting that silver, that gold, that US dollar, the euro, the won, whatever it is, real estate, whatever it is to get wealth. Get that, get bitches, have kids, and then pass on your legacy. That's it. Or you can just be some fucking lonely douchebag that has no money, no kids, die by yourself or in some old person home being taken care of by a bunch of people that don't give a fuck about you, and that's it, right? So which one's the better of the two? Which one's more right and which one's more wrong, right? It's that simple. It really is. It really is that simple. It's fucked up. But anyways, I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna finish off my side is listen to the trees just kind of swaying off in the wind here. It's very nice. Like I mentioned, the air in New Hampshire, when it's fall and wintertime, is the best air. The crisp, cold air. I don't have to walk around here with a bunch of pollen and bacteria and molds and all this shit just propagating. Insects fucking disturbing me every half millisecond of my existence just walking through here. In fall, the late fall and throughout winter, it's peaceful and quiet, and the air is just clean and crisp, and it just fills you with that beautiful oxygen. Deep, deep breaths out here. All that came through here. It's so nice knowing that the only things that have come through here is just animals and me. That's it. Through the snow, I can see that the only thing that's come up here is me. There's not even any deer tracks. Actually, before I go here, I'm just going to show one thing here. This is why I love the snow. You can see where things have been, what they're doing, and it's like being a conspiracy theorist. Oh, conspiracy theorist, and investigating. Oh, how dare you investigate reality? Trying to figure things out. What's wrong with you? You're fucking weird. You want to figure shit out. You don't want to just go along with the crowds. What's wrong with you? But yeah, that was just like these are old tracks. I can't tell what that would be. Something heavier. It's definitely not rabbit. It's something. I don't know. Maybe a raccoon or something. But yeah, right here. Lots of activity right here. Look at this. Something lives down in there. Something going on down there, right? Isn't that cool? That's why I love wintertime. You can set up a trap right there. Get yourself some type of creature. Probably a raccoon. But yeah. Lots of activity right there. So anyways, take it easy, everybody. Until next time.